everyone. Thank you so much for joining Startup Impact Summit 2020. So today we're super excited to have aspiring entrepreneurs, moderators join us on Growth Impact stage. And if you're a fan of growth mentors, Linktree, this is the sections you should join. And without further ado, I would like to hand over the stage to Jessica from Growth Mentor to kickstart the sections. Please give round of applause.
Ooh, round of applause. Exciting.
Yeah,
so my name is Jessica Volbrecht, and I'm the COO at Growth Mentor. And Growth Mentor is a platform connecting startup founders, aspiring founders, and also marketers. Our users are pretty much half-half between founders and marketers. And it's a place for them to get advice, bounce ideas around, validate ideas, and just chat with extremely high-level vetted growth marketing professionals. So that's Growth Mentor, and I am in the background running around doing everything. So that's what I do. All right, and Alex, can we hear a little bit about you?
Yeah, hi everyone. My name's Alex. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Linktree, which is a tool to help you connect all your audiences to your entire digital ecosystem. And sure, we'll get into plenty more about the story.
Excellent. And where are you joining us from today?
I'm in sunny Melbourne at the moment, which is the opposite of sunny and coming into winter. But I love this time of year here, so I'm excited.
Excellent. I'm in Greece, if anyone's wondering, or they couldn't tell by my background. So, all right, let's go into a little bit of your background. So now you have Linktree, this huge world-known brand in the social media space. What were you doing before Linktree?
Yeah, sure. So prior to Linktree, prior to that, I was running. I went to uni for a little while after school. Really didn't like it, didn't think it was for me, and I left after a couple months. I started helping my parents out, do a few things, and then they imported musical instruments. Spent a lot of my life. My parents, my grandparents both imported musical instruments and ran music stores in Australia. So really kind of grew up around the music space and started, once I had left uni, started managing DJs and running events and parties and doing a lot of that kind of thing on the entertainment and side of music. And eventually realized that there was a really big market, really kind of big gap in the market around marketing for music and entertainment in Australia, and a lot of music brands and festivals and entertainment and touring weren't really taking advantage of marketing technology that was available to, say, e-commerce and brand world at the time. So started doing marketing for festivals and record labels and artists, and grew that into an agency with my brother Anthony. That agency still runs, about 70 people, and it focuses especially in music, events, entertainment, major festivals and record labels and artists around the world and in Australia. And so about a year into starting that agency, we started Linktree, and that was really a recognition of, I guess, not being able to link out of Instagram effectively from a marketing perspective, and really a major pain point for us. And it was really, a way to just solve a problem for ourselves, a simple solution to a problem that we had. Really continued to scale from there. And a few years later, it's really no longer a tool just for Instagram. It's a really platform agnostic tool that helps you unify all of your content across your entire digital ecosystem, whether that's social media or your email signature or your resume. And we also see it used often offline as well, and people with business cards are completely irreplaceable of websites. So it's been a pretty big last few years.
That's good. Now you're giving me ideas of how else I can use it besides Instagram. So that's good.
Right.
and so your agency that you were doing was focused on live music promotion, yeah? And you were like it's a marketing agency?
Yeah, digital strategy and creative agency.
Okay.
So really end-to-end digital go-to-market strategy and planning for festivals, and really what that was, why that was so different to marketing at the time was, I guess media agencies that would need a long time to be able to prepare a campaign and have a really big minimum budget. And the way music and festivals, entertainment and touring generally work is that it's a lot faster moving. Budgets are generally smaller. You need to be able to get to market a lot quicker.
Mm.
But also in terms of the way you market, it's always, if you're going to go buy a pair of shoes, you're going to decide yourself whether you want those pair of shoes. If you're going to go to a show, generally it's a group decision where you're kind of trying to convince some friends. And also, generally in entertainment, you don't own the entire marketing funnel, or you don't own the entire conversion funnel. Quite often, more often than not, you're linking off to a ticketing domain or ticketing platform to actually make that purchase. So,
Sure.
kind of making that link between actually being able to convince people and help you convince your friends, all the way through to and building that story, or all the way through to actually converting on a different domain and being able to conversion track that and remarket and do all that kind of end-to-end work. So we kind of really set out to do that. That was a big thing that I guess music and events entertainment we're not doing at the time at all, and it's really I guess forged a path in that area that still operates today. Really
Very
has
cool.
some incredible clients that it works with, and I now focus full-time on Linktree. But
Okay.
yeah, still doing some cool things.
All right. And at that time, so was this like a big eureka moment, like we have to build this, or did it just kind of happen, or what, how did the first live, link, how did that come to be?
So I've always, I guess, I've been kind of person that would have ideas that we'd want to build, but I'd be really not great at actually documenting it, and I guess having a way to
Most people
yeah, right, like kind of go online and find a freelancer somewhere in the world to be able to build it as cheaply as possible, and never really be able to like write technical specifications and do all those kinds of things. So I firstly set out to make sure we had a developer in-house. So we sold some websites to clients for the agency to make sure we had an engineer in-house that I could just sit next to and explain my ideas to. And we're having this pain point of being able to link. And it was really like, it sounds like a cliche story, kind of wake up one morning and think about it, but we're also managing some artists at the time. And it was really a solution where we just figured, hey, what can't we just have a link that you never take out of your bio, no matter where it is, and you have a separate app that you can completely control that presence from, and means you never have to log back in and change your link in bio all the time, which is a pain for a lot of our clients. And almost immediately, our co-founder Nick, our creative director, and our engineer kind of just like, yeah, that makes sense, cool, I'll build it. And we actually built the first prototype in, I think, 6 or 7 hours. It was like we just kind of spent that day having some fun and building out a prototype, put some branding on it, came up with some names that were terrible, and I'm really, really glad we didn't go with. And then, put it out, used it and gave it to our clients to use. And then there was 10, 20, 30 signups a day almost immediately. So it turned out that it was a lot more people than just us that had that problem, which was cool to see. And it was just just solving that problem. We continued to build in it, and almost immediately people will start making suggestions and recommending other things we should do and other functionality we should add. So a few months later, we kind of rebuilt it entirely, so it wasn't no longer a 6-hour MVP, and we rebuilt it and spent a few weeks doing it. But
Okay, so you started off with the MVP, and was there anything else going on at that? Were there any other options, or were people literally still changing the link every day or with each post, or were you?
Yeah, there was absolutely no other tool like it out in the market at that time. We completely created this category, and I guess in creating this tool, what's been really incredible to see, it really has spawned this entire category of other apps kind of following suit and building out this space. And we still definitely, I guess, own what we call like the vernacular of the space. If someone's still referring to like, hey, check out my Linktree, they might be referring to their bio link, or never not referring it to
Mm-hmm.
their link in bio anymore, which has been really cool to see. And it's, I guess, a goal we've really built on building up and building the brand equity like that. But yeah, there was nothing that existed like it, and we really kind of, I guess, forged that path and making sure that there was just a really simple list of links and really frictionless path of conversion, and just everything about the tool, everything about the product and the platform is absolutely about simplicity and making sure that when you land in a Linktree, you know what you're landing on, and you're able to really take action immediately. And if you're from a user perspective, really drive your visitors to where they need to go as quickly as possible.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's very, the first time I signed up for it, it was just so like eureka.
Yeah.
And it was just so simple to just, pop the links in and go. It was very, very, very easy. So I'd be interested to see what your original 6-hour.
Well, that's good to hear. That's good to hear. We do have we're thinking about posting it actually. I did a talk a little while ago where I showed a little, like the first screencast that our engineer did the day that he had finished it, and it's pretty mind blowing, I guess, to see how far we've come. The general construction of it is not much different. We just didn't have the preview on the side. But in terms of the blocks of links, yeah, basically the initial concept is stuck.
And so when you made it, were you thinking, okay, everyone thinks their ideas are great and, this is going to be huge, but did you think it would be huge? Or did you build it so you could use it and your friends in the industry could use it? Or were you thinking this is going to have, millions and millions of users around the world?
I think, first, initially, definitely never imagined it to be scaling this massively. And I guess to the point where it is now of just like completely changing the way millions of people around the world are actually even just having their digital presence or using the internet, which is incredible to think. Definitely never thought about it growing that massively. Certainly when we first launched and we saw it being used so much and it's solving the problem, the simple problem we're trying to solve, definitely had ambitions for it where we just, figured and, I expected it to be able to continue doing well and keep growing and scaling. I guess by the time we got to like 50,000 users, it was like, okay, maybe this can keep going. And it just like the growth kept accelerating. I think eventually we're kind of like, okay, this, let's put everything we can into this and really scale it. But yeah, certainly in those first year, I definitely would never expect it. And we're still, I guess, dealing with those decisions now, I guess, where we, the way we built the platform technically, we never really expected it to be scaling to now. So we're still doing a lot of work to like continue building on the infrastructure to make sure we can continue scaling.
Sure. And were your marketing skills transferable from the music entertainment industry into, this kind of app space?
Yeah, I think it's definitely transferred into the product itself. I would say I would probably separate them in terms of our marketing expertise into the product itself, and essentially this being a marketing tool and a tool that enables you to have this digital presence and that enables you to streamline your conversion, have a really frictionless path of conversion, and to be such a powerful marketing tool. That's absolutely us bringing our marketing experience and expertise into it in terms of, how the product is put together, how profile looks, the things we've allowed to be on the profile and not allowed. There's been some really key product decisions along the way that we've stuck to doing from a product and design perspective. And then also from a growth and marketing perspective in terms of, how we're positioned it, actually, I would say it's still sticking more in the product side of things like not allowing display advertising and never allowing like advertising or that kind of thing in the free version. Understanding click-through rates and what's going to improve click-throughs and conversions and what isn't going to, and then accessibility and how important accessibility is on the internet and all those kind of things. It's really gone into the way the product looks today. Sure.
And how about that jump from free to offering a pro plan, monetizing the thing. How did that all go down?
That was that kind of just happened really organically and naturally. We kept, we're really excited about just giving this tool this simple solving problem, and we never really had an ambitions or intentions to monetize it, and it just continued to scale, and more users using it and suggesting features, and we kept coming with great ideas on our own, and some more of those ideas were probably going to actually cost us quite a bit of money to run in terms of infrastructure and those kinds of things. So we started to think about a way we can monetize this, and we asked users, would you be willing to pay for it? And people said yes. We asked surveys. There was a lot of intent to actually pay for a version that had more advanced functionality and features. So we chose 5 or 6 of the features that we knew would move the needle, I guess, in terms of would be features that users were requesting and really love to have, and we built them into a paid tier and implemented subscriptions. And I remember I was at my girlfriend's house and we switched it on, and I was supposed to be at the dinner table, and I was just sitting there like refreshing for hours waiting for someone to pay. And eventually someone did. And it was incredibly exciting. So just really continued to grow from there.
Yeah, I know exactly that feeling.
Yeah.
When you go from free to all of a sudden we're going to charge, like, oh my God, is it going to work? Is it going to work? Is anyone actually going to pay for this?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's super, super exciting. I think there was a whole bunch of work we did around pricing. I think there's a lot to be said around Linktree and its success around not overthinking things, and just kind of really, if we were really focused on and just always putting all our energy into Linktree, and Linktree in the early days was really a side hustle for us. Like, we were going home and working on it all night and running the agency during the day, and then going home and working to 2 in the morning on Linktree. And if we had Linktree being our only product, I think we probably would have made some decisions a little bit differently in terms of like having to monetize it earlier than it was ready, or there's a whole bunch of decisions along the way that I think, when it comes to like launching the paid product when it was ready, and when we had we had a lot of users telling us really what they wanted to see, and also like the price point that we could afford to do it at, and how we were going to do that. It really was for us, like $5 seemed right, but it also seemed too deliberate. So I made it $6, and it was like literally that simple early on. And I'm really transparent and honest about this kind of stuff, because I think when you're starting out, you tend to have these kind of like, you tend to overthink things and try to research and work out what's right. And I think it's okay to kind of like hit the ground running and do what you think's right, and then be able to progress from there.
I agree. I think people spend a lot of time overanalyzing and looking for the right answer when there's not a right answer. It's your answer, my answer, people
and every product's different, and every market's
nitpicky. Yeah, exactly. So you mentioned that the users played a part in deciding to do this. So how do you communicate with users? What's the interaction between Linktree and the users?
So we have a few areas. We had a intercom, or like a live chat that users were quite vocal with and talking to us. And this was still just myself and my co-founders, just every day, like still in there, really talking to users and understanding more. And when they would request something, would really go to the effort of asking them why, how that would work. We had they would post on our Instagram and our Facebook. We now have a little while, actually, it's probably pretty early days. We launched like what we called a Facebook user group. So it's just like a closed group where whenever you become a user, you can request to join there. And it's an incredible community of users asking each other questions and posting their profiles and asking about best practice. And we can jump in there and help answer questions. And it's a really great way for people to learn about each other and learn about how people are using Linktree. And I think, and there's heaps we learn from there. And we also like show first glimpses of new features and products and beta testing in there. So it's a
excellent
kind of environment, which I think works really well. But that's kind of like, I guess for us, we we get asked all the time, like, how did you scale like this? How did you scale that fast and be bootstrapped? And, what kind of marketing tricks there was around that. And for us, it's about listening. There's been no marketing tricks. There's a few like product-led kind of marketing ideas that we had, or decisions we made that really enabled that growth. But really comes down to just like building a product that people love, that enables and actually solves problems for a user. And so the reason I mentioned that in this question is that, it's really about listening to users and being able to understand how that's going to actually add value to them, and not just build out a feature for the sake of building it because they've asked for it. It's about how does this fit into the actual product? Will this actually enable users? Will it add value to their lives? Will it help them achieve their marketing or their business outcomes by spending less time doing it? Or is it just like a really unique feature idea? And kind of being able to build on that and knowing what's worth putting in and what isn't. And I think we learned that along the way. Like, what was, there was certainly things that we felt, if you go and ask, users are going to say what they want. And I think we got to the point where we knew, we definitely early days felt like we knew what users wanted and what made sense. We definitely hit a tipping point at some point where we no longer knew better than our users, and our users absolutely knew better than we did, where we start putting features out, and you put out features and they just wouldn't stick, right? And you start to go, okay, we need to really find better channels and enable enable our team to learn from our users in a much better capacity. So we improved our channels in that, and improved our surveys, and started to like just actually, really make sure we were getting back to users and understanding while they were requesting features, or actually getting on calls, like scheduling our phone calls with users and actually asking them what they want. And especially as we introduce more advanced functionality, that was really important.
Yeah, it's there's just so many ways, which is great. It's easier now to get in touch with customers, but I think some people still might be missing that aspect of it. How about transitioning from marketing in the music entertainment industry to a product owner? With all these product suggestions and things, like, how did you wrap your head around what to do first? Was it instinct, or did you know what you were doing?
Yeah.
Obviously you knew what you were doing, but
yeah, I think I've always been the kind of person that's actually, like, I lived on Product Hunt. I just loved tech products. I think I always kind of had a dream of being able to do something like that, which is probably why when we decided to like solve this problem for ourselves, we actually built it in the way of a product rather than just solving it for ourselves, right? And I think so I would like to think it's instinct, but not just myself, like my co-founders in our team and everyone that we've been able to just kind of lean on and experiment, and have it, we piece together what maybe users are suggesting, and also our vision and where we're taking the product, and this kind of list of ideas and functionality that we know we want to roll out, prioritize it, add it, see if it sticks, see if it doesn't, and kind of like, build a roadmap from there. But I guess like I said, it's such a tool that's entrenched in marketing itself anyway, that I think the progression for me was I wouldn't say seamless, but it definitely
it made sense.
Yeah, and I'm super passionate about it, and I love it's exciting, especially at the scale we even had from early days and now we have now, it's pretty easy to, like, we deploy something and we see immediate feedback almost, and I think that's what's so exciting about it, and it really draws a lot of passion out of us to be able to just continue doing that. So I think, yeah. It's an interesting question, actually. I haven't really thought back to how that went for me.
I thought of an original question.
I'm sure lots of others will probably not think it was so seamless for me. I'm sure plenty of my team. Yeah.
So speaking of your team, what were you when you first started? So during that 6 hour MVP, how many people were involved in that?
There was only 6 or 7 people at the agency at that time, and it was myself, my brother Anthony, my co-founder Nick, and then our developer Mike. So it's four of us that we kind of built that in. And it was really just, it was probably Anthony, my brother, really focused on the agency still early days. So really up until probably, I would say at least 1 million users, it was really just the three of us working on it. And we kind of continued scaling. And it was like, as we go to extra design help, but it was, really Nick doing the design, Mike doing the engineering and building out. Really, it was actually him working on it, side hustle part-time up until we kind of launched the paid product and we started getting some revenue through to be able to hire others. And that's kind of like the bootstrap story, really.
Yeah, I'd say, wow, that's impressive. And then how, what happened, or with the first hire, or that's a question a lot of people ask, is when should I start hiring? So any advice for when? I know it's different for everything, but
it's totally different. And I think we were incredibly fortunate that we got this product market fit really early on, and we're able to scale from there. And we absolutely had a lot of fortune around that, and really made some key product decisions that enabled us to continue scaling in that way. For us, the hiring, I mean, we're completely bootstrapped, and we've also actually never even taken a loan, right? So for us, it was, as soon as we had the right, we always thought about that revenue in, like, I always looked at that revenue in salaries, like developer salaries, basically. Like, as soon as it unlocked another developer, we hired another one, and then made another chunk of money and another one. It was like, as soon as, like, literally I would look at it in segments of like how much it costs to hire engineers. And I would just consistently hire that. And it was always about putting that money back into building the team, scaling the team. And, the product, again, this is why it's so different for different products. We deliberately made sure that this product was self-referred and viral, right? So naturally, it's a sharing product. You got to share this link for it to work. Even today, about 61% of our signups are self-referred and viral. So it's users seeing the Linktree logo on a profile and coming in and signing up. And so we really worked hard to make sure that we could build a product that did that. And so we didn't have to spend much. And there's a whole bunch of other kind of product design ideas that went into making it a product that made sure that the free users absolutely love this product still. And don't feel like they have to pay for it, because that becomes our flywheel and that becomes our marketing engine. And therefore, we didn't have to spend much money on acquiring users or spending money on marketing. We could always pull it back into actually hiring people and building a team.
All right. Yeah, that's a good point to make about the making sure if the free users love it. It's annoying when you're in something and then all of a sudden it's like must upgrade to. It's kind of like,
that's been a really big.
What can I do then?
Exactly, that's been a really big philosophy of ours, and I think it's, it was really deliberate. We've always gone by the philosophy of always add value to the pro user and never take value away from the free user, right? So when we're thinking about trying to increase the value gap between free and pro, it's not about limiting the free, it's just about adding value on the pro. So a really clear example of that was, an early decision we made was, rather than limiting how many links you could have on free, we still allowed unlimited links, still allow you to choose from a bunch of great themes, still allow you to see how many clicks and views you get in your profile. But on Pro, you're able to customize whatever you like. You're allowed to see more advanced analytics, but still the free version doesn't limit you in any way. And that still means that it's incredibly valuable and adds a lot of value to the users of free. And for a lot of people, that suffices, and that's great. Because that's what enables us to, be able to get in front of so many great people and continue to grow.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great growth loop. Is that what that is?
Yeah.
So you mentioned Product Hunt earlier. So tell me about your Product Hunt experience.
Yeah, Product Hunt was, I guess, like pretty much the only website that I really frequented. It was kind of like every day I would go and just check out the products, and I've always thought it was just a really cool community of people that were super positive and a great community where I offered each other advice and that kind of thing, and always was really excited about putting Linktree on there. But our plan was to spend a fair bit more time finessing it and getting it into a great position before we put it on there. Someone else had another idea and put someone that we don't know put it up on Product Tunnels the night before my sister's wedding, of which I was in the bridal party for. And it was not ideal timing, but it was really exciting to see. I think it got to like number 4 most hunted, and it was just like hundreds, thousands of comments, people talking about it and had lots of praise or offering suggestions. And you know, sitting there two or 3 in the morning replying to them because it was in US time, which is not ideal for how I how I look for the next day for my sister's wedding. But you know, got to do what you got to do.
And what stage were you at then? Like how soon after you had gone live did this happen?
So I think that was early 2017. So I think we were around maybe 9 to 12 months, around there.
Okay.
It was around the time that we launched the pro version, and it was about a week after that Alicia Keys had signed up, which was the first really influential major user.
So is Alicia Keys checking Product Hunt every day, or?
Well, her digital marketing agency definitely is. And so her agency, her management actually found it through Product Hunt, which then
no way, wow.
Which we found out later, and that's still really
so that was organic. That was just all of a sudden Alicia Keys was using Linktree.
Yeah, absolutely. We had a Slack channel set up for every time we got new signups. There was kind of like, they would just buzz and give us a bell every time there was a new sign up. And basically once it was on Product Time and once Alicia Keys signed up, firstly we saw Alicia Keys' name come up and we figured that wasn't real. We looked into it, turned out it was real, got pretty excited. And then we had to turn that integration off because it got pretty irritating buzzing all day, which is a great problem to have. But yeah, that's we reached out to her management, found out that they also manage a bunch of other incredible artists. We did this like white glove service where we built some functionality, built custom themes, and just did whatever we needed to do, gave them free access to a whole bunch of stuff in order for them to sign up the rest of their roster, which they did. And so they signed up Eminem and Pure Jam and Tupac and the Killers and a whole bunch of others. That basically is still a really big strategy we use today, where we'll make sure that we really work with agencies when we see a major influential user sign up. We know how many eyeballs are on their profiles, so we'll make sure they have access to all their functionality, using it in best practice, because when their visitors and people that admire them see their Linktrees using all the pro functionality, then eventually that would mean they also want to try and use it. So that's something we make sure we do, and also for them to sign up the rest of the roster, because often they're looking after a whole bunch of other talent as well. So that's been definitely a big part of, I guess, the growth story, and making sure that we've really never done much actual outreach in terms of like an influencer.
Right, I was going to ask that if you've done any outreach, or they just come to you.
It's super, has been really, again, fortunately, been super organic. I mean, we do have a partnerships director in LA now whose role it is really to look after this kind of thing, and he does a little bit of outreach, working with labels and sports teams and athletes and that kind of thing. But more often than not, it's them signing up organically, or their label needing it for a particular reason, and then we just work with them to make sure they're getting the best use out of it.
Sure. I mean, music industry obviously makes sense, but also like every every type of, I mean, do you have a lot of e-commerce with like different, or now do they have kind of their own specialty, or I mean, I'm sure you've got lots of copycats, right? And now there's so many options out there, but you are the first.
And
the original.
It spans so many verticals, right? Which has always, been one of these really exciting things for us to watch grow. We built this kind of with music in mind, but we saw comedians and chefs and actors and everything grow around that. But then we also saw brands, so like it's some major brands, then the royal family and tech brands, and then also like publishers sign ups, and that's this kind of what I mean by talking to users. Like publishers signed up, like Vice and The Guardian, and obviously it being not necessarily something we had in mind when we initially built it as a use case, it's so incredibly important to understand what this use case is and why they're using and what they've seen value in it, so we can continue building functionality for them. So reaching out to them and spending time on the phone asking them questions about what their actual use case, and their use case as a publisher differs entirely to the way a musician uses it, or a celebrity or an actor or entertainment uses it, and the actual functionality they're using completely different. So it's an interesting product problem for us in terms of like designing to make sure that it's valuable to over 200 different verticals.
Sure. Wow, so many so many things to keep tabs on, and directions you can go on. How's your organization and prioritization skills?
Mine leave a lot to be desired. There's a lot of people that are far better than I am. Definitely learn to get better at it.
Do you use any tools, any like Todoist or Trello in this realm, of organization and things to try to keep on task?
I used to use Things 3 on Mac, but I actually am completely obsessed with this tool at the moment called Roam.
Haven't heard of it.
Roam Research. It's incredible. It's a note-taking tool.
Maybe I have. Okay, when you have the research on, it rings a bell. Yeah, okay.
It's getting like a bit of a cult status at the moment. It's super tech and pretty confusing to use at first. If you've got a really like steep kind of to actually work out how to use it, it's pretty difficult to start. But once you get it, it's like completely changes the way you think about your day and think about note-taking and task management. So it's been really great. Definitely worth checking out.
Check it out for sure.
Yeah.
So that's always a thing. So with what I do at Growth Mentor is I get to see what everybody is asking for help with and advice with, and organization. And I mean, I think everyone wants to be better and more organized. So that's something that like everyone has in common. So those tools can be helpful, but I think you got to figure it out for yourself. So to try the different ones.
It's another one of those things that really, everyone kind of works differently, and you've got to find what works for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you said now you're Linktree. You're not working in the agency, or do you dabble back and forth, or?
So I'm full-time in Linktree, and so is our creative director, co-founder Nick. My brother Anthony's running the agency. Once a month I'll kind of sit in a little board meeting or kind of assist Anthony whenever he's got problems. And I think it works really nicely actually, where Anthony can come to me if he's got a problem, and I've got this kind of outsider view on it, and likewise with Linktree. So we've kind of got that set up, which is nice.
And was that a difficult decision to make? Like at what point you were going to split off, or was it just like that was your baby and he liked the agency more, or how did that all play out?
I think Linktree was kind of always my baby, just from its conception, but also to I'm the more technical kind of brother. Anthony's incredible relationships and the business management and a whole bunch of things, and I'm more the nerdy technical one. And I guess in terms of like building out the product, that's been more me. So that was a natural decision on who would do what. It was kind of like in terms of like really splitting it and diving in and hiring a bunch of people and scaling that team, and me going full in on Linktree. It definitely took a while, but probably the last 18 months I've been all in on Linktree. It's kind of it progressed slowly as more and more time on Linktree.
Sure. Yeah. And did you ever get like FOMO, like, oh, what's going on at the agency? Or are you totally content just being at Linktree?
No, over 4 or 5 years, you build incredible relationships with clients and things. And I guess there's definitely elements of that I miss, but still great friends with all of them, and all those clients are still clients of the agency. So I can still sit back in. Obviously, amazing clients at festivals and artists, and getting to go along to those shows, still get to dabble in that. Ooh. So, I'm still not missing out entirely. but I think there's so much, without using that word, synergy, between the two. So much of what the agency learns and knows about the progression of marketing technology and what's important to clients
your own
and
focus group of users.
Yeah, exactly. To converting is like, that comes across the Linktree, and it allows us to really stay ahead of the curve in that way, and vice versa.
That's very cool. That's very cool. All right, and so to kind of wrap things up here with the learnings for everyone watching this. So bootstrap. I mean, our company is bootstrapped, and a lot of our users are also bootstrap founders, and just going through that initial year or two of grind. So what specific bootstrap advice can you give to new founders out there, or aspiring people who have an idea and they don't have any money and they don't want to get funding? Any advice?
Look, I think first off, like, bootstrapping is incredible. It's obviously so hard at the time and takes a lot of work. But I think in terms of setting up the foundations for a business, even if you were to go raise later, I think it's incredible to build a business that you have to focus on profitability and focus on scaling in a way that doesn't, you're not sitting on piles of cash that you can just throw money at a problem or throw money at growth or media and marketing, trying to acquire users. You have to really, it ends up permeating through every decision you make, from products through to growth through to marketing, and actually understanding even to your pricing and all that kind of thing. And I think for you to have that mindset on how is this going to be profitable? How am I actually going to get return on this? What's it at? How is it actually going to impact our users? How is it actually going to add value? I think it really forces you into thinking that way, which is actually really great foundation and really important. So I think absolutely be excited about bootstrapping and thinking that way. I think the probably biggest piece of advice I can give there is just, I touched on it earlier, just, be prepared that you're not taking cash out yourself. It's, and if you're building a lifestyle business, great, and you're kind of like, and not too worried about scaling. If you're really thinking about scaling it massively, you need to be super prepared to just put every single thing you got back into the business and scaling the team. Which, if you've got that mindset, that was never a concern for me, I guess, and for us. It was kind of, we were always so, once we recognized the scale and the growth, and it was so exciting, always being able to just have more people as part of the team, being able to grow this. And at every point, you kind of have these, I guess, pain points where you're like, oh, I wish we had an engineer to just be able to do these things. But then when you got the money to do it, you've got no problem spending that money doing it, because you just need an engineer, right? You just kind of keep scaling the team that way. So I really would say, always thinking about putting that cash back into the business and making sure you're thinking about scale is probably the most important thing, just, I guess, pertaining purely to bootstrapping.
Sure, absolutely. I feel like it's more rewarding, but I can only speak because I've only been involved in a bootstrap business, so I don't know the other side of things. I'm sure that's rewarding as well, but I don't know. Totally. I like it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have control and all those fun things.
No one pesky whispering in your ear that you should be doing this and doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, look, and I think as well, even if you do get to the point where you're bootstrapped, you're doing great, and then you do decide to raise, you've done a lot to prove that you know how to run a business. And I think raising at that stage becomes a lot easier, and you've got the leverage to say, hey, I've gotten this to this point, I know what I'm doing. This is the reason why we need cash to do A, B, and C. But you hold the control at that point. Yeah,
absolutely. That's a very good point. So, all right. Well, I guess that is it for our little chat here. So, thank you for that. It was really really cool to hear the story, and I'll never look at Linktree the same again. I'll always be. Now I know what happened.
Awesome. Good. Well, you go ahead and put it everywhere else other than Instagram. It's a really great
tool. It's
unify all of your content everywhere.
It's basically a landing page that you could just, build out as you want. Yeah.
Yeah,
Is that how people use it like that? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the biggest add value right now, and what we're seeing users use it most, is really that unifying, the ability to be able to unify your entire digital presence. So putting in your TikTok and your Twitter and your Facebook and your Pinterest and on your business card and wherever your audience lives, to be able to like really have that one centralized location that you can then manage and have this really frictionless path of conversion, which is super important, especially as the internet just becomes more and more fragmented all the time. There's more social media platform being launched every year. It just kind of continues to grow. The other key thing that we see is, I guess, discoverability, which we see 1.8 clicks per unique visitor on across Linktree. So we know that visitors are landing on Linktree, clicking on one thing, and then coming back because they discovered something else about you. So making sure that you've always got on your Linktree, making sure you've got what you're trying to push to right now in terms of making sure you've got most recent and relevant links on there. If you're talking about something on socials, make sure you've got a link there so people can find it really easily, but then also links to whatever other recent content you put out or other things that you want to talk about yourself, or so making sure you've got other content you want your visitors to discover about you on there at all times.
Absolutely. That's good. I'm going to think about this now. How I can pimp out my Linktree.
Do it.
All right. Well, thank you very much. And I guess that's it for today.
Awesome. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.